This is the most troublesome class in the whole school. Every student in this class is a problem kid. They're either dressed weirdly or have their hair dyed blonde. The female teacher tells them to behave, but the students aren't afraid at all. They glare back at her defiantly. One long-haired boy even throws a tennis ball at her. But the students have no idea. This seemingly gentle woman is no ordinary teacher. Her name is Ji Hui. She grew up in a Yakuza family. Though Ji Hui trained in martial arts since childhood, and her fighting skills are off the charts, she has no interest in inheriting the gang business. All she wants is to become a school teacher. One day, a flight from Hong Kong to Japan gets hijacked just as it's about to land. The passengers are terrified into silence. Only Ji Hui stays calm. Ignoring the hijackers' threats, she keeps peacefully daydreaming, until one of them yells at an elderly man. That's when Ji Hui loses it. She decides it's time to teach these thugs a lesson in respect. By the time the police rush in, the hijackers are already on their knees begging for mercy, like they've just survived something terrifying. The media covers the incident in a frenzy. That's when the teachers finally realize how dangerous Ji Hui is. Back at school, the principal immediately calls her in. Don't let her admit it. If anyone finds out the Yakuza princess is secretly teaching at their school, both of them will be fired. But trouble finds them anyway, soon enough. A group of gang members block the school gate, demanding to settle a score with a student named Renta. Turns out a few days ago, some thugs tried to extort money from a student in the class. Renta stepped in and gave them a beating. Now the gang had come to the school to get revenge. The principal was shaking in fear, hiding under the desk and calling the cops. Only after the police arrived did the gang members slowly back off. Afterward, the principal didn't listen to reason and harshly scolded Renta and his friends. To avoid further trouble, he even decided to expel them all. At the critical moment, Ji Hui stood up for them. She believed the gang started the trouble and the students didn't go looking for a fight. She even personally vouched for them, asking the principal to give them another chance. If the gang caused trouble again, she would resign from her position. Ji Hui's kindness deeply moved the rebellious students. They were once labeled as hopeless by the school. No teacher had ever cared about them before. But Ji Hui was willing to risk her job for them. Renta felt a mix of emotions. He knew the gang wouldn't let this go easily, but he didn't want to lose such a good teacher. So he decided to go confront the gang on his own. When Ji Hui heard the news, she was furious. She didn't blame Renta for acting rashly, but was heartbroken that his so-called brothers didn't help. She was truly disappointed in them. Then Ji Hui headed to the gang's hideout all by herself. At that moment, Renta was surrounded by a group of men. Even though he was outnumbered, Renta refused to back down. Just as they were about to cripple him, Ji Hui finally arrived. She said she was Renta's homeroom teacher and demanded they hand him over. But the gang, confident in their numbers, completely dismissed her. Since talking didn't work, it was time to fight. Ji Hui moved swiftly, dodging every attack with ease. Then she knocked each of them down with a single punch. Seeing how fierce she was, the gang panicked and ran. At that moment, the students, worried about their teacher, showed up. The brothers, who hadn't helped before, apologized to Renta. But Renta couldn't shake one question. He had never seen a teacher who could fight like that. He started to suspect who Ji Hui really was. But Ji Hui told him it didn't matter. What mattered was that she wanted to protect her students. After that incident, the students saw her in a completely new light. In an age ruled by greed and selfishness, a teacher willing to risk everything for her students was truly rare. But just a few days later, new trouble arose. 2 police officers suddenly came to the school asking questions. It turned out that a few days ago, Ji Hui's former student, Kazama, had been accused of being involved in a drug deal, and now he was on the run. No one knew where he was hiding. But Ji Hui didn't believe what the police said, because she knew her student well. She believed Kazama would never do such a thing. But the police found his wallet at the scene of the deal, and scattered all around it was a pile of bee powder. So Kazama naturally became the prime suspect. Faced with this irrefutable evidence, Ji Hui still chose to trust her former student. She handed her class over to a substitute teacher and set off to find Kazama and get the truth herself. When the old classmates heard about it, they all came to help. They didn't believe he could do such a thing either. Everyone split up to search places Kazama might go. One by one they looked. Finally, they found him in an empty classroom. At first, when questioned, Kazama was evasive and didn't tell the truth. He didn't want to cause more trouble for Ji Hui. Back in high school, he was seen as a delinquent. But Ji Hui never gave up on him and kept teaching patiently. That's what set his life on the right track. Now that he had graduated, he didn't want to be a burden to his teacher again. Under Ji Hui's firm insistence, Kazama finally told the truth. After graduation, he couldn't find a stable job. A friend introduced him to a gig delivering packages for extra cash. All he had to do was drop it off at a certain place. He'd earn 30,000 yen a night. To ease his financial burden, Kazama didn't think too much, but he never imagined the package actually contained bee powder. At that exact moment, the police acting on a tip showed up. Panicked, he ran without thinking. In his panic, he accidentally dropped his wallet at the scene. He knew he had no way to explain himself. Afraid of being arrested, he went into hiding. When Ji Hui learned the truth, she didn't blame Kazama. Instead, she taught him a lesson. In this world, there's no such thing as easy money, and you must never let money blind you, because some things can't be bought with money. That night, Ji Hui let Kazama stay at her house. Using her family's connections, she began investigating who was using him to traffic bee powder. Soon, her people brought back information. The boss behind the operation. It's a guy named Taro, once nearly bankrupt due to a failed business, had made a comeback through smuggling bee powder. They usually targeted naive young people to use them for illegal activities. It was cheap, and the risk was low. This man, Taro, was highly ambitious. To gain more wealth, he was even running for public office. Faced with such scum, Ji Hui decided she had to expose his crimes. Her foster father advised her to back off, saying this opponent was too powerful. But to protect others from falling victim, she refused to back down. Before she could even take action, her students had already gone to Taro's company headquarters, hoping to find clues and bring him to justice. Turns out they had overheard Ji Hui's conversation with her subordinates earlier. They hid behind a car to avoid the guards and slipped into the building. After a bit of searching, they finally discovered ceramic-wrapped bee powder hidden inside a concealed air duct. But before they could escape, Taro's men found them. Luckily, Ji Hui got the message in time and arrived. She knocked out several gang members and rescued the students. Meanwhile, Taro was holding a massive press conference to boost his election campaign, inviting media from all over to attend. If he succeeded in getting elected, he would surely abuse his power to commit even more crimes. Time was running out. Ji Hui told the students to stay behind, while she rushed off to stop everything. Just as Taro was about to speak, Ji Hui burst through the door and exposed his true colors in front of everyone. The confrontation between the two was broadcast live across the country. Everyone was stunned. Taro tried to deny everything, claiming ignorance. But the students live-streamed footage of his drug stash straight to the public for all to see. In an instant, his carefully crafted image collapsed. People started fleeing the scene. With everything falling apart, Taro stopped pretending altogether. He sent out several elite fighters to take Ji Hui down. Though she was highly skilled, she was overwhelmed by sheer numbers. After a few rounds, she began to fall behind. At the critical moment, her former classmate, Oda, came to help. But he was quickly knocked to the ground. They used Oda's life to threaten her. They ordered her not to resist. Ji Hui had no choice but to surrender. She took blow after blow without fighting back. Just as Ji Hui was about to be seriously hurt, Kazama and the others arrived just in time. The gang members were stunned and froze in place. Seeing the students rush forward, Ji Hui quickly shouted to stop them. She couldn't let them get dragged into this fight. She didn't want this to stain their records or lives, so Ji Hui stood up once more. At that moment, it was as if she was unstoppable. With a few powerful strikes, she took down the gang members. Seeing that all hope was lost, Taro pulled out a gun and aimed it at Ji Hui, ready for a final standoff. But Ji Hui showed no fear. She spoke calmly and powerfully. Even if Taro had money, his men still left him when things got rough. There are things money can never buy. Like the student standing behind her. Her words hit Taro right in the heart. He was instantly shaken. Just then, the police burst in. In panic, Taro raised his gun once again.
It looked like someone was about to get shot.
Without hesitation, Ji Hui stepped in front of him. She pleaded with the police to give him one more chance. Taro was deeply moved by Ji Hui's kindness. He dropped the gun and gave up resisting. Before being taken away, he looked at the students with envy and said, "You're really lucky." At that moment, Renta, who had been watching the live broadcast, rushed over with the rest of the class. Each of them was truly concerned about their teacher's safety. Ji Hui was deeply moved by her students' actions. In that moment, she felt her efforts had finally borne fruit. This was the true meaning behind her desire to become a teacher. With the media coverage, Ji Hui became a hero in the eyes of the city. Even the principal held great admiration for her. But Ji Hui didn't care for fame or praise. What she truly wanted was to guide these lost students back onto the right path in life. She hoped each of them could have a bright future. This film is Gokusen. The plot may seem cliché, but it's surprisingly fulfilling. At its core, it's an inspiring story. Friends who like this kind of movie can go and watch it.